I think we are live. So, yes, I want to thank you very much, Ria, for taking the time. I know we tried to do it the other week, but you wasn't feeling too great, and but so now you're feeling a bit better, and you're ready to sit here and listen to me waffle on for a bit. And yeah, so obviously, for those that don't know who you are, Ria the Welder on Instagram doing some insane fabrication work. I mean, where did it all start? Where do you, how did you get the inspiration, and what made you want to do it?
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, so I went, I got into motorcycles young. I knew I always loved them. So when I was a kid, my neighbors had bikes. My parents never had bikes growing up, but I would always, get to go for rides as a kid on the back of bikes. And when I was in elementary school, my mom won a Harley Davidson, and I was in grade 4, and I was like, you have to keep this. Like, I need this in my life. And obviously they sold it because they're not bikers. Oh, sorry about that.
No worries. No worries.
And they're not. Yeah, so they sold it, and as I grew up, I had boyfriends that rode, and I'd always be around or on the back of a bike. And it just came to a point in my life where I was like, okay, I'm ready to take this on. I'm ready to make this my life and get my own bike and learn how to ride it. And so I did that. And being around the bikes, I knew that I always wanted to contribute something to the bikes, like mechanics or painting or welding. And the welding side of things really kind of excited me more than the other stuff. I did take a entry to motorcycle mechanics first, and realized that was not for me. It's just a little bit too tedious work for me, is the removing the bolts to get to this part, to having to put everything all back together, to pull the whole bike apart to do this one little thing. And it was just not my thing.
Yeah.
So I decided to go and take welding. I went into full trade school, went to welding, and got a job building truck parts for the military. And
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I kept my sissy bar, or I stayed after work one day and built my own sissy bar for my bike. That's where it started.
So what bike? Sorry to interrupt there. What bike was your first bike then?
So my first was a '99 Harley Sportster.
Oh, cool. What, 883 or?
It was an 883. Yeah, it was the love of my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I modified the shit out of that bike before I want to say grew out of it, but I thought I grew out of it, and I thought I wanted something different. I sold it, and I was like, I'm getting a Dyna. And so I bought a Dyna, and I definitely didn't love it as much as the Sportster. If you've ever rode one or the other, in comparison,
yeah. I mean, I've not been able to ride any, but so what do you feel that was the big difference between them? Obviously, apart from the size and the engine size and everything.
Well, the Sporty, there's nothing beats when you're going with a Harley Davidson. Nothing beats the Sporty when it comes to handling. And I live in British Columbia, where we have some of the nicest roads in the world, and there's a lot of this, right? So I just found that the Dyna didn't keep up. It didn't.
Okay.
It didn't take the corners as well as the Sporty, and I like the corners.
Yeah, and that's people generally think I mean, I don't own a Harley, but I have a Bobber, but people generally think that you don't throw them about, don't they? They think you're gonna tootle around all tedious and that, but
legs up, just lounging with your legs. Yeah. Nope. I like to get right into it and hug the corners and scrape the pegs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So with the customization you did, what we're talking? Obviously, you built your own sissy bar, but what else did you kind of do to that?
So yeah, it all started with the sissy, and I had a really awesome like pink flake paint job done on it. At one side was like bubble letters Harley Davidson with like a plaid, and then the other side was like a desert scene sunset. It was
That's cool.
wild. I had these highway pegs that I made for it that I could put my feet up. They had hearts on it, big old handlebars. I never like hardtailed it.
Okay.
But yeah, everything was modified, and it was kind of like just me figuring out how motorcycles work and like how to build certain parts for a bike.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of like me just learning,
Yeah.
teaching
And
myself
that's it.
how to
That's
work
it.
on it and how to build parts. And
at the end of the day, there is no wrong or right way, really, is there? You know,
there's
as
no
long as
rules.
it's safe, whatever you attach into it, and it's not going to
Yeah.
fall off and hurt you or hurt someone else.
Yeah, I had a manual, so I knew like every bolt and every nut that had to come off and go back on. And yeah, I was more like into the modification than the mechanics. I mean, I still did my oil changes, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So like, and then obviously you just rode that for a while, and then just realized that you say you fancied a Dyna, and
yeah, well, I had it in my mind that the Dyna was what I wanted, because like I had lots of friends that were upgrading to Dynas, or I'm like almost 6 foot tall, so I fit a Dyna a little bit better. Yeah, I don't know. I love that Sporty, and I wish I never sold it, but she's in a good home, and the girl who bought her from me still has her and loves her and rides her, and like she's getting the love. So I rode
good.
that Dyna, or that Sporty, a lot, and I rode it down all over the States. Like it got rode.
Yeah, which is obviously what they're there for, isn't it? It's, so do you still get to ride now?
So I do. I sold my Dyna like a year after I got it because I was pregnant, and we bought a house with a carport, and that carport needed to get turned into a shop for myself, like a workspace.
Oh,
So I sold the Dyna to kind of fund that. And I was pregnant, and like I was having a kid soon, and raising a baby, you don't really have that much time to go riding. So my partner, he has a Street Glide, and so we just shared that bike for a few years, and I took it on a couple trips. And last summer, I just recently bought another Sporty, and it's a 99. It's like the exact same bike as my old one, except this one's a 1200.
okay. And what do you think it's better to have the 12? Obviously, apart from a little bit more grunt, is it better, or?
You know, I haven't even rode it yet because last year I had a surgery, I had a procedure, and I couldn't ride at all last summer. So I'm just itching to insure it, to be honest.
No,
it's obviously
cool.
very cold here.
Yeah. Well, I keep in touch with Bob, and sometimes I speak to Corey, and like sometimes I send me pictures of like when it snows over there. And I'm like, I think I say I got nothing to whinge about here. You know, here it's like maybe 7-8 degrees now, but it's still not the greatest. But you know,
yeah, Corey and Bob both live in like warmer parts of British Columbia. Like I live actually really close to Corey, but Kelowna doesn't get nearly as much snow as we do out here. We're in the mountains out here. But BC's probably got the least amount of snow in the whole country, but we still do get lots of snow. And Vancouver hardly gets snow. Like they ride all year down there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Bob always has his he's got a BSA, hardtail BSA that he built. He generally has that ready to rock and roll through the year, as he's told me, and which is pretty cool. And he says same about like you got some really cool roads out towards the mountain areas and things like that.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
is
there's so many roads out here. You wouldn't even believe it. It's like you can go down a road and not take the same road to get back like hundreds of times. Like there's so many different routes out here. And yeah, really, really nice.
But no, that's it. I mean, and what like the condition of the roads? Like, what are they? What I mean, over here they're fucking terrible. Like potholes. Yeah. I mean, we just got potholes everywhere. You know,
it depends on the time of the year because the snow really fucks our roads in the winter, and then by spring, it's covered in sand because we have to sand and salt the roads for the snow. So we have street sweepers that come out and literally drive every single road like 3 times, and on the side, the middle, and the other side, and clean up all the sand. And they save that sand. They bring it to this lot and they save it for like next year. But then there's tons of potholes, but they fill the potholes for the summer. But then it has to be done every single spring.
Crazy, isn't it? That's crazy. Yeah. So let's get back to like with the sissy bars. So obviously you went and did a welding course, and you were working in a yard. You built your first sissy bar. So like, at what point did you kind of think like, well, what happened for you to think, do you know what, people like this? Like, what, I can probably do this to make it a bigger thing.
So I never really looked for the work. It kind of fell in my lap. Like I made my sissy bar, and then someone came to me and was like, listen, I want one too. Can you make me one? And I was like, sure. And then I'd made that one, put it up on my Instagram or whatever. And then another person, and then another person, and then another, and it just snowballed. And it was just like one after another. And then before I know it, I could not keep up with making sissy bars plus working full time in a welding shop. I was very fortunate at the beginning of my welding career to have these shops that would let me stay like after hours and use their tools and use their equipment and like learn how to run a CNC. And because I went to welding school, we didn't learn every single tool in the metal trades. So that's why I kept working in a shop for so long and kept the sissy bars pretty much just on the side. Now I'm just strictly working out of my shop with also raising a 4-year-old.
Wow, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I can imagine my kids come into my front room, into my lounge, and they're looking at me like, Dad, when you getting off this podcast, we want to annoy you for an hour,
Yeah.
So I'm lucky. Obviously, my missus does most of it. So, but
yeah. I'm lucky too. Mine's pretty hands-on too.
Does he work from home as well then, or?
He doesn't. No, he's an equipment operator. Okay. He's actually from Essex, from Billericay.
Yeah, you said earlier on the DMs that earlier or yesterday, I think, that your partner's from the UK.
Yeah, so he just that job is really unknown. Like, jobs end when you're doing excavation and equipment operating. Like, you'll be on job for a certain amount of time, and then that job will end, and then he'll have some time off, or whatever. So he's home right now with the kids. So that's what I'm getting at. But I do have
which part of Essex is he from? You say
he's from Billericay.
Billericay. Oh, I mean, I'm originally from that end of the country, but I'm not really. I don't know why. I don't even know why I asked Essex, because I don't really know it very well.
I don't either, to be honest. That's all I know.
Have you been over to the UK?
I have not been there. I would like to, and we really wanted to take our son Bowie over when he was a baby, but then COVID hit, and it's just been like, we're homeowners, and flights are expensive, and but we'll get there one day. I mean, Joe's mom's over there, so we have to go visit for sure.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, to be fair, you're not missing much. I don't know what your partner thinks of the UK, but he must have left
He
for a
has the
reason.
same feeling as you, I think.
Yeah. No, I grew up in. I grew up in. I mean, I'm born in the UK, but I spent most of my life in Spain, which is where I'm trying to get back. And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. The weather is pretty dull most of the year.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what I hear. It's just rainy and cloudy and wet and
Yeah, and it's damp. It's like because I got some friends from like Eastern Europe, from like Poland, and I know a couple, Hungarian people, and they say like even though they get like a -30 in in peak winter, they said that the UK, because it's so damp, it just feels different. It feels cold even though it's not actually on the
it's a
reading. It's
different
not. Do you know what I mean?
it's like bone chilling cold. Gets
Yeah,
into your bones. Yeah, that's what Vancouver's like too. I used to live in
yeah.
Vancouver for a bit and it's really wet there. It's like
Oh,
living
okay.
in the UK.
But I mean, I'm guessing like from where you're saying from going from like where you live now to Vancouver. I mean, what type of mileage are we talking? So because obviously the UK is so small compared to Canada, obviously. So how far is it, like roughly?
So it's like about, I'm gonna say 400 kilometers.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah. So you're talking about what, a 3-4 hour drive?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. When
That's
you're
cool.
like 3-4 hours from like Paris.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so what's crazy is like I can leave my home and I can go to the airport, get on an aeroplane, travel 1,600 miles to my sisters, and I can do that quicker than I can do a 280-mile trip to my brothers in the south of England. The roads here are
Because of the traffic.
so much traffic,
Oh
so much
yeah,
traffic. I mean, your partner's probably told you the same. It's ridiculous. There's
yeah.
just too many cars on the road here, and with regards to motorbikes, personally, my belief is that they don't want us on the road. So, they're
Oh,
trying to keep us like they were trying to ban bikes in the center of London, and yeah, that's not.
why? It would be so much better if everyone just had bikes. Way
Yeah,
less
yeah,
traffic.
yeah, and obviously on the other side, like there are slowly becoming less and less people wanting to ride because there's so many people stealing bikes now. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you watch on
Crime.
social media and they're doing it midday. I mean, as you probably you possibly use a battery powered grinder in your shop. It's just a great tool for people that are wanting to steal bikes now.
Right.
It,
Crime.
it's
Yeah, Joe tells me about the crime over there is really nasty too.
Yeah, they got too much rights. The wrong people have too many rights, and unfortunately are being listened to. But obviously we don't want to dive too much into politics because that's
No.
no.
Look at us
So,
getting right into it.
I mean, I obviously when I obviously came across your work, I mean, I'm so like the power of social media. I scroll through reels and things, and I come across one of your reels on Instagram, and that's how I started looking at your work. And like what I really like with your work is obviously first of all it appears that you like one of the I haven't seen anybody else that's kind of building stuff more for like for women riders, which is awesome. It's like very feminine, but also equally as industrial. You know what I mean? You've definitely got a very like the way you're able to sculpt things, which is obviously in a very delicate way, but at the same time still mean as hell. It's a
Yeah.
it's definitely a great combo that you got going on there, and obviously it's great to see. It's great to see another. It's great to see a woman fabricator out there and still holding her own against the whole. Because I can imagine that's kind of been a thing that you have. Did you feel that at the beginning you wasn't taken as serious being a female fabricator, or I mean, for me, I don't give a fuck. I think if you call it welding, and that I think it's awesome.
I know that there's definitely the sexism's out there. I do believe that it's how you present yourself. Um, I've always been very confident and not and very loud and like lots of people. I don't want to say that they don't want to fuck with me, but like they don't want to fuck with me because they don't want to get clapped back at, right?
Yeah.
So if like someone's like giving me shit for being a woman, like I'm just gonna say like you're fucked, and
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
want to hear that. So I haven't experienced a lot of it. I've experienced a
Oh,
little
good.
of it, but honestly, I just do what I do, and like if they want to hate me quietly, go for it.
Well, it's obviously
Um,
working. It's obviously working, like staying true to like what you want to do. I mean, you've only got to look at the amount of people that appreciate your work on social on Instagram. You know, you don't get that type of following, like you say, being able to build sissy bars without advertising. People obviously appreciate what you stand for and what you're doing. You know.
yeah, and you know what? I find that a lot of people love that I'm a woman doing it, and that's why they chose me. Um, and which also kind of seems sexist in itself, but like women, we've had a rough go like in the past. Things are a lot better nowadays, but women like to support other women,
Mm.
and there's a lot of women riders now. It's
Which
absolutely
is good. Yeah,
insane.
it's good.
Yeah, how many women are getting on their own bikes, and I'm so supported by the women in the motorcycle community, and it feels so good. And half of my following on Instagram is men. Actually, I think more than half of my following is men. So I've made a lot of bars for men. I do find that the men like to micromanage a little bit more than the women.
Oh
But
well.
I just handle it like yeah, sometimes I have to tell them, just trust the process, and they
Yeah,
end up being super happy when I'm done, when it's
yeah.
on their bike, right? And I am totally okay with people telling me exactly what they want, and um, if I make something and they don't love it and they want to make a change, then that's fine too. Like it's my art, but it's also like you're paying for it,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah, no,
on your bike, and it's your expression. It's like your art expression, but like I'm making it, but like this is how you want to be seen too. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, that's for sure. I mean, so like, where did you get? Because obviously, again, like I said earlier, like it's very artistic, very curvy, very natural. Like, where did that kind of where did the inspiration for like, the way you create your work? Because obviously, it's unique. You can tell, like already now, I can kind of tell, like you can see there's a pattern to the way you there's a pattern to the way you kind of create your curves and things like that. Like, where did that all kind of come into it?
So I do have my own style, but I do have to give a lot of the credit to my customers, and like they tell me, for the most part, they tell me what they want. They give me ideas of like things that they like. It goes from like, this is exactly what I want, here's a drawing, to like, you have creative freedom. I like flowers and butterflies. And then I just kind of make what I'm feeling, or like they'll tell me something and I'll instantly picture it in my mind. I'll be
Mm.
like, that is how I'm going to make it. And I'm not a very good drawer with my hand. So
Okay.
sometimes people will ask, do you draw it out first? And I just say, you know what? It's easier for me to just make it. And
Right.
then you can tell me if you like it or not, or if you want to make changes. And that happens sometimes, but not often. Most of the time people are just like, oh my god, that's exactly what I wanted, or it's better than I thought. And so
That's awesome.
it's definitely like a combination of their idea and my vision.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get an idea in my head and I'm just like, I'm gonna make that. And then like, I don't know if you've seen, I have a few pinned on my Instagram, like the
Yeah.
mushroom ones,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
cool.
and the swinging ball sack.
Yeah.
Like
That's insane.
like those are all straight from here.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I don't even. I'm not even going to bother asking what you were thinking. What was going through your head when you thought I'm gonna make a set of balls that look like they're gonna with some gnarly looking studs hanging out of them. I mean, I feel sorry for your partner if that's where the idea come from.
It's definitely not like a replica of his balls. I had a little help from Google. I had to like look up ball sacks on Google to like get the grasp of like the veins coming in the creases, and then the hair. And the hair was tricky because like first I did little dots and then I did little spot welds, and it kind of looked like
Genital
It looked like,
wars.
like herpes or something, not pubes. So then I had to like make it look more puby. And then the swinging part was, I have like a little bit of humor in me.
Yeah.
So that one actually ended up in Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I shipped that over to Germany.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think that someone's riding around with a set of balls swinging on a sissy bar.
Yeah, definitely not like for someone who likes to take a passenger. To get teabagged pretty hard.
Yeah. That's so like with your welding, you generally, are you TIG welding generally?
Yeah, generally I'm TIG welder. Yep.
That's crazy. I mean, that's something I'd like. I mean, all I'm capable of doing at the moment is kind of gluing bits of metal together. I mean, and they work. Like I built the whole subframe on my ZX10, and it's been able to take larger than life characters weight on the weight side and not falling off. They're not falling off the back of the bike. So
well, that's good.
That's it. And that's kind of like for me, kind of similar to yourself, is just sticking true to who you are and what you're about. Like I'm not a fabricator. I don't claim to be, but like today I went live and I was just cutting the sides of my tank out and modifying them. And I'm saying to people like, look, if you clicked on here to try and get a how-to, I'm not that guy. I'm full on hillbilly engineering here, winging it till all the way. It's but that's just it. It's just enjoying it. And like you said, there's no wrong or right way to do it, I suppose. As long as it holds fuel, that's good for me.
There's definitely wrong and right ways to do it. As a trained welder,
welding side, yeah.
Who built military truck parts? It really, like, if you're welding your frame, like you're gonna want that done properly, or else it's gonna snap. Because but there's other, you can get away with, your tank kind of thing. As long as it holds gas and it has pressure.
I used a 240 amp MIG. And obviously I got a couple of friends that are pretty. I got a friend who is a retired fabricator, and he said, look, obviously you got to look for the heat penetration on the weld. He said you'll know. He said you'll know if it's taken, and
if it's just sitting on top of the metal, then
I say obviously using like a 90 amp on some like 3-4 gauge steel tube, it's not gonna, and just sitting on the top. But so I mean, I kind of say like I glued some bits of metal together. I had an idea of what I was looking for, and I got my friend to have a look at it. And obviously, am I winning any awards for a weld? Absolutely not. But am I able to put to weld bits of metal together that hold? I mean, that subframe's been together 6 years, and it kind of it's still in one piece when I'm. Do you know what I mean? There's apart from a couple of tack welds on some lugs, which I'd made the mistake of not welding them on properly. I had some little lugs on the back to hold the number plate. They're the only bits that I've had to weld up, but I should have done that properly the first time.
Yeah, well, they don't. The thing about welding is it doesn't need to look pretty. It needs to have good penetration. So even if your weld looks like shit, as long as you have it hot enough and enough filler metal in there, then it's gonna hold. Doesn't need to look amazing. Mine do.
Yeah, I mean, well, but at the end of the day, obviously you've been. Again, I can't imagine it being something that straight away, like first attempt. I mean, if it did, that's incredible. If you got it bang on the first attempt, but usually it takes a bit of practice. And
it does take a little bit of practice. That's what they say in welding school. Practice makes permanent. So I got a lot of practice, and especially when I was building the military truck parts, because the quality control was very, very intense, and like there was like 0.5 millimeter tolerances. So I had a lot of practice to become really good.
Wow.
And I went through.
What do you mean by 0.5? For people that don't know, sorry to interrupt you there, but what do you mean by 0.5 tolerance? What are we saying? Are we saying within the weld or within the overall size, or?
So yeah, like these parts. So when I was doing that, I was just welding. They were being built by different people in the shop, And the tolerance was like, the weld had to be exactly like, you know, 1.5 inches, and it could be 0.5 of a millimeter bigger or smaller, but like no more than that. Or like the weld couldn't have like too much concave. It had to have like a good amount of buildup on it. Like every weld was checked, and if it was not exactly perfect, then they would send it back and say, grind it out and do it again. So,
Wow.
it was just it had to be pristine. Like they'd send you a drawing and it had to be
well,
like
you say,
within.
obviously it's got to do a job, innit? It has to do the job. You know, there's no messing around, is there?
No, you don't mess around with the Canadian government.
No, I can't imagine. So, and generally speaking, what type of welding was you doing in the military? As in, what was it? A TIG, MIG, arc, gas?
We did a little bit of everything, but for the most part, I did MIG working at that job. I did MIG aluminum and steel, and then I would even do like some stainless TIG as well. But mostly MIG. I went through a lot of wire at that job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I just checked here. We got someone in on the Instagram comments has put that ball sack is badass. Ria's stuff is amazing. That Richie is a guy. He's a tattoo model that I had on before. But yeah, that's
nice.
So even everyone appreciates that one.
I'm so glad you like my nuts.
So yeah, so it's so like what type of what welding did you find the hardest? I mean, I've only so far done a little bit of MIG welding. I think I attempted a bit of arc welding years ago, but that I found that really hard. So
stick welding is definitely tricky. I never really did stick welding because I always worked in fab shops. I never worked out in the field, and normally you use stick welding out in the field. You're not hauling tanks all over the place. You're just carrying, a tube of sticks around. It was one of the first processes that you have to learn in school that you have to complete before moving on to the next one. So that was definitely the most tricky.
What did you find tricky about it? Like trying to keep the heat under control, or like burning through and things like that, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just like I remember using it as an overhead stick, and you're welding something like right above you, and it would just drip. Like as you're learning and you're not able to keep the puddle flowing and sticking, it would just fucking drip on you. I have scars everywhere from metal, hot molten metal dripping on me. I guess MIG can sometimes get tricky too if it's sticking, or you're not setting the machine properly. I find TIG to me is like, I'm the best at TIG. That's my best process. MIG, I guess it's just a little bit kind of dull, especially when you're doing it all day.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working in production shops where you're making like 75 of something and you're just sitting there doing the exact same and so the TIG, it's like keeps both of your hands busy, and
it looks very finesse.
It is like finesse, and it feels so fucking good when you like finish and it's like dimes. You're like, yeah,
I did that.
Yeah.
I got a couple of welds on my subframe when I did them, and the thing is, the worst bit is they're the bits you don't see, like that right underneath where I had to fabricate the mounts for the tank, and it's like, I'm like, that almost looks like someone that knows what they're doing. Bosh, there's a seat, I've hidden it. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, or like getting your welder into those tiny little crevices, like, and getting the right angle so it hits both pieces that you want to weld together perfectly. A lot of people use mirrors if there's like an area that you can't see, and they'll like weld and like look in a mirror,
Okay.
but then you have to like you're seeing it backwards, so it's
Yeah.
really tricky.
Yeah. Have you done any, so like a set of handlebars I got on one of my bikes? I got a stainless steel bottom piece. It's a piece of inch hexagon bar. One of my friends, he machined it out and sunk my original handlebars into it, and then he brazed it. Do you do any where you mix two different materials together, like any any stuff like that as well?
So recently I have been playing around with I'm not really too good at metallurgy, so I don't know the proper term of the rod that I was using. Silicone brass rods, I'm pretty sure, with my TIG welder. I've just been playing around with that recently. Nothing structural that is going to hold, because I don't have much experience with it and I don't know if it's going to hold. But just like artistic pieces, like I made a belt buckle, I made a ring, and I just filled it. So it's just like you can kind of see the two different colors. And it's so beautiful mixing that together. And I really want to do more of that.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, it's like Jesse James likes to do a lot of that, doesn't he? With his gut, when he's making guns and things, he's able to, like Damascus steel and stuff that man can do is insane as well.
Yeah.
Is it what they call it? Forge weld? Is it forge welding? I don't really know.
Blacksmithing?
Yeah, but where you like forge the two, where you weld, but you kind of like they're almost like both the materials are almost molten, and you bring them together.
Yeah, I think that is Damascus, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they use a forge for it. I've never done like blacksmithing or any of that kind of work, like making knives and stuff.
No.
Yeah, I basically just built truck parts, and I did a lot of aluminum welding, which I don't love, probably because I just did it too much.
Is it because obviously I've never touched it, so like my frame on my bike's aluminium. Actually.
I know you call it aluminium down.
Aluminium. Does your partner say aluminum, or does he say aluminium?
He's been here long enough. He says aluminum. He gets a hard time from me, so he tries not to make.
So you've made him submiss. He's submitted into speaking the Canadian way.
He just tries not to bring attention to himself.
It's like, so my missus, she's from Yorkshire, so they have a different accent, and like over time I've started catching words. Like, so for example, up here they don't really use the word the, so like down south it used to be, I'm off to the shop, do you want anything? And now it's, I'm off to shop. It's like it's a t, not the, it's t.
Yeah. Are you going shopping or are you going to work? What is it?
yeah, exactly. So it's so yeah, well, with aluminum,
you say it however you want to say. I ain't gonna judge you.
I'm saying it the right way. Aluminium. So with aluminium welding, so a few people I know that do it, they said the thing is with it is watching it goes from being a piece of material to all of a sudden bang, it's gone.
Yeah. Yes. So you have to find that perfect spot of the puddle. You have to melt that puddle enough before it just like. So you have to melt it enough and jam that rod in there without melting the rod with your welder, but get it into that puddle without melting it with your rod. And yeah, it's definitely tricky. I've done a lot of it. I did it a lot for work, so I'm pretty good at it, but I I prefer to not do it. It's nasty. It's just like,
right, because it appears as if there's less people that are able to do it, and it seems to be like almost more of a niche type of world. And obviously, is that just because of how hard it is to do?
I don't know why it is. Maybe just not enough practice. Like a lot of welders are just steel welders, iron workers, or pipeline welders, and that's what they do, right? When I worked in the shop, I got like in the fab shop, I got to do everything. Like I learned everything. if you're put in the field and you're just welding pipe, you're just welding pipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even know if I learned aluminum in school. I can't remember. I
You're
must
kinda
have.
just there you are, have that. Don't blow holes in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I was really determined to be a good welder when I started. So I really tried
It's one of them
hard.
things that make it look easy, don't they? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I sit and watch obviously things on YouTube, and I'm just like, that's insane. You know, it's like my friend who's a retired fabricator. I needed some work doing to like a Sportster tank, and yeah, I gave it to him, and it's just like you looked at the factory. It was one of these Chinese, replica tanks, like a brand new, like bare metal one. And I pulled it out of the box, and I was just like, "This is appalling." You know, they literally just tacked the tank mounts on. It was going to be no good. So I took it to my friend, and he cleaned everything up, and I was just like, "It looks insane." You know, just the way. See, I like obviously, like my friend said to me, is just you can kind of tell, like, with the color after it's welded, you can kind of tell that it's almost when he said to me, like, you can kind of see, like, when the coloring, when it's finished, you can see that you had a good heat penetration, and like you can tell with the speed. And
Yeah.
I don't know,
And
obviously I don't know enough about it, so
you can tell when like the mill scale starts lifting, but you don't have like the blow through. Yeah. I mean, it just takes time and experience to learn all that stuff, and like a lot of time under the hood.
yeah. So with you doing like so I see that you did like that rose and that. So do you do a lot of like metal, like sheet metal shaping? It's like, for example, at the moment I'm on with doing scallops on the side of my tank, and my friend was like, "Oh, you can pull them because I got to come back out towards the side of the tank." And he's like, "You'll be able to shape it around." I'm like, "Look, man, I don't even know what the fuck." I said, "I'm barely winging it now. I mean, I'm not going to try and shape any metal. You know, how do you find like stretching metal, and have you found that quite easy to get on with, or?"
So I don't have a whole lot of experience with shaping sheet metal. The stuff that I use is a lot thicker because I need it to hold and not vibrate and break. So like making a tank, for example, you need like an English wheel, and like you need certain things. Like you can buy these concave pads where you take like this hammer and then you build
Yeah.
it out like that. But I've just started kind of making the roses and stuff by hand with, I use like an oxyacetylene torch.
Okay.
For my mushrooms, I take a pipe. Okay, so I have my flat, it looks like a flower shape. It's like a flower.
Yeah.
And then I take a pipe like that, and I place the flower on top, and then I put like a rod in there, and I hammer the rod in, and it just kind of like falls into the pipe and then comes together. And then I just weld it and grind it and shape it into like a mushroom. You know, there's lots of different ways to make the metal into different shapes. Tools definitely help.
Yeah.
I don't have like the room for like all of these big fancy awesome tools for that sheet metal shaping. Like I don't even have like a brake to bend sheet into like a 90.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So everything I do by hand, except for, of course, I have a CNC table. Like that's a plasma CNC. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so if I need something cut out, like I'll draw it in my computer and then I'll cut it out that way. You know, it just takes practice, and if you want something bad enough, you make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For
Use
sure.
the edges of my bench, or use my vise, but heat definitely helps when you're working with metal.
Yeah.
Having a
Yeah. So
torch.
yeah, that I mean, I have got so like today when I was cutting, like trimming the edges of these scallops ready to put back in, I don't have a vise, so all I did is literally just got one of my toolboxes, planted it on top of it, and just held it off the edge. And I'm there cutting with like a 1/2 inch Dremel disc, because obviously the shapes are so small. I've been doing it all with my little Dremel, and but like I think you kind of need to go down that process of like learning the harder way first,
I
and
think
then
so
when you do
too.
get advice or get, like you say, you know what I mean? I think you do.
Yeah. It makes you appreciate your tools better too.
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah,
did
for
I do
sure.
before you? What did I do before I had this?
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean, I think I said to somebody the other week, like, so first time I ever did some aluminium polishing, um, I had to do it all by hand. And my dad comes and does some on his bike, and he's got the sander, comes out, takes all the paint off with the sander, takes it back with a finer piece of sander on this, sands it a bit flatter, then gets a drill out with a polishing mop on it, does all this work within about 3 hours, and I'm still there on the first piece, and I'm like, why can't I do that? He says, well, you need to learn how to feel the metal. I'm like, that's a load of shit, man. But I get it now. It's like you really do have to start to learn how to feel the metal, I suppose, and
Yeah.
understand kind of what gives you a chance to kind of think about it a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, because it warps like fuck when you add heat to it. Like
Yeah.
when you're filling, say you have like a hole that you need to fill, you need to fill it, but not only fill it, you need to fill it with the right heat so it doesn't warp the metal around the hole.
Yeah.
Or else you're filling all that up too. And then grinding it, you can't grind like this. You have to grind like this.
Yeah.
Right? So it
Yeah.
definitely takes time. And I have 10 years of welding under my belt now. So I've had a lot of practice. And like I said before, working in a fab shop, building the same shit over and over and over again, really taught me how to be a good welder and how to learn how to manipulate metal like that. And I don't think anybody just has that skill to like make a rose. Like, I mean, roses are very common for people to learn in school. But yeah, you just
Why
need.
are they common? What would make them? Is it just because they're a cool looking thing, or is it what are you learning how to just continue to manipulate the metal, or?
I don't know. I just feel like the roses, everybody loves the roses. And everybody who is a welder has probably made a rose in their life. Yeah, I know that there's lots of schools that will teach you how to make those roses, like the Valentine's Day project or whatever. But yeah, it's just something that welders have done. Valentine's Day, I'll make a rose for my girlfriend. Everyone's tried it. But yeah, they're not super easy to make. But if someone's teaching you how to make them.
Yeah, they don't look easy at all. I mean, even to be fair, even drawing them. I mean, I drew them. I do a bit of tattooing as well, and even tattooing them, like it's something that looks so easy to do, and effectively following the lines they are. But I found like it's almost like you got to imagine how it actually would sit, and like even though there's bits of it that you might not necessarily see, I think that if you kind of cut the corner and just looking at what you see in front of you doesn't necessarily actually give you the best finish, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, they're fucking hard to do. I tried drawing a peony once, to put into my program for my CNC. It looked like shit. It looked like dog shit. Like, I think I drew it and then I cut it out and I like sent it to the customer and I'm like, listen, can we do something else? Because I can't figure this one out.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I have to say, like, I can't figure it out. So we either have to change our mind or you have to find someone else to do it.
And that's it. And there's probably part of you that like doesn't necessarily want to say that, but then again, keeping it real and just being honest, like people might be a bit bummed out at the beginning, thinking, "Oh fuck, that's what I wanted," but then they also wouldn't probably appreciate what you gave them because it's not your best work.
Exactly. You don't want it to look shitty, and like if I can't do it, I can't do it. And I want to do my best, and I want these people to love their sissy bar, and they're
Yeah.
all one of a kind. So, you know, it's for them, and it's how they want to express themselves to the person behind them or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's it. I
want,
mean, mine would be like that.
yeah, I've done a few of those too, actually.
Mine would definitely be kind of like that. I mean, the only thing I kind of made that's metal sculpture related, I did a lamp. I used like recycled bits of metal. So I used like I got a sprocket for the base, and then I kind of used I went off the Terminator inspiration, like, and then like the hand itself is part of a two-stroke expansion chamber, and then each finger is a spanner. So I cut the spanner, and obviously I cut the first piece, the second piece, and I've got it holding a light bulb like that. And I was going to attempt to do some stuff like that, because obviously my friend who retired, he retired from commercial work but started doing sculpture work, and he was like telling me like how much money that there is in this game. So I thought, oh fuck it, I'll have a go, and I made this thing, and I think it's cool as hell. I put it on eBay, and it got nothing. I was just like, right, that's me done. I'm fucking done. Like, no more, But I still got this lamp, and it's still pretty cool.
You know what? You cannot let that, like, you just haven't found the right audience. Because I made this light, and it's in my dining room because I haven't sold it, and I'm so like blown away that nobody has bought this lamp yet.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking gorgeous. It's like a moon. It's 2 feet, and it's a moon, and it has LEDs in it. It has a resin in it, and it looks like an old, like, kind of like a 60s version of a moon, not like a real moon, more like a. But I've made a couple lamps, and there's a few things that I've made, like art pieces that aren't sissy bars. The sissy bars are they just go because that's my audience, right?
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's why people follow me, is for my sissy bars. But I've tried to do a few different like sculptures, lamps. I love incorporating light into my metal.
Yeah.
Like I think it's so cool.
Have you done any sissy bars where you're holding like the rear light, anything like that? Well, you know what I mean, like where your art piece is kind of holding, as if it was holding the rear light in the middle of the sissy bar.
I've added lights into my sissy bars, the tail lights. Yeah, I just recently started making these hearts. They're like this big. They've got resin in them.
Some of them. Yeah, that's cool.
And I haven't released them yet because I don't have the light to put in them.
Right.
I was working with this guy out of Milwaukee, but he has so much. He has so much on the go that I don't know what I'm going to do yet about getting a light inside of them, but I have a great big wait list of people who want these lights. So,
cool.
I can't wait to release those.
I think I've seen the ones where you got like almost like looks like I'm guessing it's blood coming down off the heart. Is that right? Or is it an eyeball?
It's just like drips, just like something trippy.
Yeah, that's cool. How did you get them? How did you get them shapes? Is that just solid rod and you're building it up with weld on the edges, or?
So, for the hearts, I CNC cut those.
Okay.
I drew them on my computer, and then I CNC cut them flat, and then I bend the heart. They're very time consuming to make because I polish them as well. But I have done sissy bars in the past, like with the eyeballs, with the dripping eyes. And those I make out of rod, and I weld a ball bearing onto the end, and then I build it up so it looks like it's all flowing, and then grind it. And the ball sack, that's also made out of 2 massive ball bearings and sheet metal, and then I just formed it around with heat and a hammer.
No, and I mean, and again, like it's like you say, people wouldn't look at that and think, "Oh, that's clearly 2 ball bearings." Do you know? It's
no, they have no idea until you cut that sucker open.
or until they realize that it's taking them half an hour to cut it open
Yeah,
because it's solid steel all the way through.
because it's solid.
Yeah, yeah. That's so. You make any other parts for bikes?
Well, I've been making the taillights. I've been asked to make handlebars, but I want to steer clear of the handlebars because I like to stick with what I know. And I don't really have the tools for, like, I don't have a tubing bender. And so recently I've been making these like accessories that go on the sissy bar. Okay. So like a removable back pad.
Yeah, which is probably a lot of people appreciate that because how many people want to put their tent on the back or they're, when they're traveling, isn't it?
Yeah, so like a rack. Like I've been making racks that slide onto the bar and then you can take it off. So you don't always have to have that rack on there and they fit in a saddlebag. And same with the pads. Like say you have like a really funky sissy bar and you don't want to have a big bulky pad on there all the time, but you want to take your girl for a ride. So she doesn't like leaning back on the bar. It's uncomfortable. So you just slide that bar over just for when she's on the bike and then you throw it into your saddlebag. I've been working with this really, really talented upholsterer. She's from BC. She's over in Powell River, which is out like on the coast.
Okay.
And she makes the most amazing seats. Her name is Arrow Upholstery. Her name's Randy, but she makes like seats and bags. And I have a upholstered seat from her that I had on my Dyna that I sold the bike without a seat because I was like,
I'm keeping that. Yeah.
Yeah. People gave me a hard time about that, but you know what? Just go buy another one, right? This is my custom seat. Sorry?
It's not hard to go and buy another one, is it?
It's not. And like a guy bought my Dyna. My seat is black with pink sparkly vinyl flames and a heart. Like he's not gonna want it. He didn't want it anyways. So it's hanging in my shop and I get to look at it every day now.
Well, also in today's society, it's hard to judge. We gotta be.
You're right.
There's some funky dudes out there that like some weird shit.
You're right. Okay, well, this guy definitely would.
But yeah, no, it's So I recently had a guy on called James who he makes handlebars and like kind of what I liked about the way he does them is instead of bending the pipe, he does like 45-degree cuts and welds. So he does like a pair of bars that he calls like the Zeus bars, which kind of come back on themselves. And James Custom Cycle Supplies on Instagram, and like he has some of them where he just powder coats them clear, which I personally prefer. I think at the end of the day, if you're good at welding, fucking hiding it behind some powder coat is almost like sacrilege. I have to hide everything behind paint because I'm shit at welding. But no, it's I think it's cool. Like even my set of bars that I got where it's solid stainless at the bottom and then mild steel going in with brazing, I'm actually going to remove all the paint and the powder coat because part of it was painted because I didn't want to send it off to the powder coat and then the rest of it's. But I'm going to have to obviously send it back off and get it re-powder coated clear because like it's got like the gold ring around it, where you like brazed it in. It's like so fucking cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Is it stainless or mild steel?
The original bars are obviously mild steel, and then so the bottom part of the bar that clamps onto the top yoke. I don't know what Americans call them, triple trees, don't they? I don't know what you guys call them.
Yeah, we do.
Call them triple trees. Trees. So I'll re-educate. They're called a yoke.
Okay.
I'm only joking.
Never heard it.
So well, over here we call them a top yoke. So basically, what he did is he took the measurement obviously of the original yoke and machined the middles out, so it's 1/2 inch. So it's solid. The bottom piece is solid stainless, but it's hexagon shape, And then obviously the bars they were machined out, and then the bars were just brazed in. So they're really cool. They're actually really narrow, which is crazy because like when I had them done, the bar hopping narrow style bars wasn't wasn't really a big thing. I mean, obviously they've always been around. It's not like I'm saying that all of us lot have recently developed that style of bar. We all know they've been around since like the 60s, 70s, you know, the narrow bar hopper style and skinny choppers, but they've become a bigger thing again, haven't they, in the last 10 years, you know? So yeah, so I've had these for a while, and so they actually almost seem like they're fitting into the new trend now, but I've had them for years. So that's
Sweet.
cool.
Good score.
Yeah, no, it's that's it. Just reutilizing what you've got. I mean, and the only reason I had to get these bars altered, I've told this story once before. It's fucking hilarious, right? So where I lived, I had a 2-bay driveway. I know my missus can hear me. She's through the other room. So when we first moved in, I said to her, I said, right, leave the car to the side so I can get down the side with the bike. So she, you are listening, aren't you, Charlotte? Yeah, she'll be listening, right? So she parked the car in the wrong place, so I had to put the bike on the other side. So anyway, so she goes out, she comes back, and she comes into the kitchen and goes, I've kind of hit your bike. Literally like that. And I'm like, what do you mean you've kind of hit the bike? She's like, well, I hit your bike. And I'm like, well, what did you do that for? And she says, well, you parked it in the wrong place. And I'm like, but you didn't move the car. So I had to park it there because you didn't put the car where I asked you to put it. And she's like, well, it's not my problem. It's not my fault, is it? You know, I kind of hit your bike. So basically, she bent the bars. So I got these set of ape hangers, and literally the bars are fucking bent. So I was left no choice but to cut them. But it's just cool how she walks in and goes, yeah, I kind of hit your bike.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no kind of, is there? You hit the fucking bike. You know.
Oopsies.
Yeah. She's like, well, you shouldn't have left it there. I'm like, well, you know, you shouldn't have fucking parked the car where I told you not to park it. You know. Well, I kind of hit your bike. She doesn't like my bikes anyway.
No, she doesn't.
She likes bikes, but she doesn't like me on them. You know, she obviously thinks that something's going to happen or something.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has that worry in the back of their mind with a loved one that rides a motorcycle.
I mean, sometimes with the way she looks at me, I'm surprised she's not taking the brakes off, to be honest. But you know, I think sometimes I say hello the wrong way or something, and she's right. You know, but no, it's all good fun. It's all good fun. Hopefully, she gets a license in a few years once the kids are all grown up, and we can go out on the bikes together.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna take my kid on my bike this year.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah, he's 4,
have you got one
but
of them,
he's ready.
like clip things, or
you know what?
Have you seen them?
I have seen those. I know that there's those. There's also this thing that you can wear that has handles on the back so they can hold on to it. I know lots of people put the child in the front. I think I'm going to try to make something that attaches to my sissy bar and kind of hugs his little bum and keeps him in place.
Like an armchair type thing or something, like the Goldwings have or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. He's sat on my partner's Street Glide, and the rear is really wide, so his legs are just like spread eagle on that. And then when I got my Sporty, I put him on my Sporty, and he was like, I like this. He can
because he feels that he's actually on the bike, not just kind of
not just like legs spread. Yeah, he's actually like awesome. Can put his legs to the side of it.
And obviously, that keeps all three of you out on the road as well, which is obviously is cool as hell, you know.
Yeah, we can go camping or just go for a day trip for lunch. And I got him this. Well, I was gifted a really, really, really nice helmet for him.
Yeah, I think I saw the video. You put a video on Instagram, didn't you?
Maybe.
Is that right? I seem to think there's a video of you unwrapping, unless someone else has done it, but I seem to think I've seen a video where they've unwrapped this package and it's a little helmet and they put it on the kid. Is that not you? I
don't know.
I mean, unless I've definitely seen a video recently where they've unwrapped this package and there's a little miniature, like, open face.
Oh, that's not me. He's got.
That's not you, right?
It's right here. Hold on. It's It's a full face carbon fiber Bell
Oh,
helmet.
that's cool. Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, she's beauty. He loves it too. He puts it on. He's like, "Let's go!" But still winter here, so
Don't drop it.
yeah.
Dropping it on the floor. That's fucked. Shit. Yeah, my kids have got some motocross ones they mess around with and bang straight on the floor. It's like, all right, that's no good now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's something we'll definitely have to like. He's gonna have to learn a lot of things. Not to drop your helmet, and don't take your feet off the pegs, and lean with mommy. Don't lean the other way. All that kind of stuff. Like, it's gonna be a learning process, but I'm really excited, and I really think that he is gonna take to it really easy, and I'm gonna have to buy a dirt bike soon. So
I was about to say, have you got has he gone? Because it's usually that's kind of the intro into bikes, isn't it? Like, it's usually a Pee-wee 50 or a little KX 150 or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't got him anything yet, but I do want to get us all dirt bikes. We live right in the mountains. We across the street. It's our neighbor's property, and you can get right up into Crown Land up there. So it's just open riding trails. We live in Canada. It's just bush.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to. My missus she's got family there, so she's been over. I know she's told me where it's basically. I don't know where it is. I know she's been to Niagara Falls. It wasn't that far away from there. And I think she's been to Toronto.
So that's the complete other side of the country.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, the family have two properties. They have two properties, so they spend part of the year in one, and then when it snows and gets really bad weather, they go to the other side of the country where again, I couldn't tell you where it is, but I know that she said Canada's incredible.
It's huge. Like, it's huge, and it is incredible. And I haven't been to Niagara Falls, or I haven't been to that other side of Canada. It costs just as much to get a flight from BC to there than it does from BC to the UK. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's like a good couple grand flights over there. So I'd like to drive one day. Sorry?
How long would it take to fly from where you're based to the likes of Niagara Falls?
I think it's like 7 hours or something.
That's crazy. I mean,
yeah, it's a long
I'm in
flight.
Africa by then. I'm literally in Africa by then. I mean, the south of Spain where I live, it's like a 2.5 hour flight, which is pretty much basically where I lived. I could see like Tangier and that.
Wow, that's
Morocco.
so cool.
I could see Morocco. It's only 7
really want
miles.
to check that out.
So I mean, I imagine there's incredible places all over the world. But, I was certainly lucky where I lived growing up as a kid. Where I lived in Spain was pretty cool for sure. But that's it. And it'd be awesome to travel the world, really.
Yeah, absolutely, it would.
But so with regarding to, like, kind of gone off topic with the sissy bars and that, have you got any plans to, like, do anything different in the future? Are you going to be introducing more of a range of bike parts that you want to do, or anything like that?
I don't really have a plan for that. I don't have the time or the space either for more tools and more equipment and an expansion. Eventually, I would love to have a bigger shop and even like an employee, right? That would be awesome. But right now, I mean, my kid starts elementary school next year, so I'm gonna have a little bit more time to do that stuff. But I mean, the sissy bars take time creating something like that. So I'm staying so busy with them that I don't really have a need to branch out and do anything else. I think that my next plan, I would really like to build a chopper for myself.
Cool, yeah, that'd be cool.
I think I'm going to do it out of my...
Because you already know how to do it all anyway. You know?
Well, I mean, I have experience doing some things, but like I've never chopped a frame before. So, I would really like to try that. And if that turns into something where other people want me to build them a chopper, like I'm totally open to that. But I just need to be able to balance my life, my work, and being able to do something and get paid properly for it, because of the artistic side of thing. Everything takes time, and time is money, and people don't have money like they used to.
No.
So, I think I'll stick with the sissy bars because people want them and they pay for them, and I have a flow and I know what I'm doing. So learning how to do new things takes time too. So I really like the accessories side of things, like the racks and the pads and the tail lights. Yeah, so probably just keep on going with the sissy bars until I'm bored of it. I want to ride.
That's it. And I must admit, like I said to my friends this year, I'd like to get out a lot more on a bike. I mean, so I was out like I think 2nd of January, but it's fucking cold.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of these. I admire people that ride in all weathers. I've done it. I feel that I just feel that I don't have a point to prove. You get some people that ride all year and they're like proving a point. Oh yeah, I ride whatever, and I'm like, I just spent all this time building a bike and I got a cool as hell paint job. Why the fuck do I want to ruin it?
Yeah. It's almost nice having that winter break to do what you want to do to the bike. So like it's parked anyways, why not build a new set of handlebars or change the paint? Or so I mean, don't get me wrong, I fucking hate winter, but it's good to like sit back and not like always, you're out riding, it's really good for the soul, but like the bike needs upgrades. The bike needs the love. It needs, the forks need to be done or whatever. And wintertime's the perfect time to do that.
No, that's it. And like you say, it just kind of gives you a chance just to check over everything as well and get ready for the next season. So, meaning to ask you, actually, my friend wanted me to ask, was you recently at a bike show displaying some parts? Because he seems to think he's seen, I think a couple of weeks ago, was there a show that happened recently?
Yeah. It was actually on Saturday.
Yeah, literally. One of his friends was there, and he said, "I'm sure that's the lady that Josh is going to be interviewing." Because which is cool.
Yeah, I was there, and Corey was there too.
Was he?
From the Choppers Till I Die, and he's just started making handlebars.
Was he? I know he's building a bike for his wife, isn't he? That the bike in the background. I don't know if you've seen the podcast that we did. The bike that was right behind him. That's his wife's bike, which is again it's so cool that more and more women are wanting to not only ride bikes but are wanting to ride choppers as well.
Yeah. I listened to it. I didn't watch it though.
Oh yeah. We got that's why I try and do the Spotify one as well, because not everyone has time to sit, and not only that, probably not everyone want to sit and watch a couple of people just mumbling on,
Yeah, well, everyone's at work right now here.
Yeah, here it's quarter past 7 at night now.
Yeah, it's noon here.
It's so like with the when generally does the bike season start there then, or is it pretty much like now?
A lot of people insure in April. Right. March is a little bit early. It could snow any day. Our winters seem to really drag on here. We didn't get any snow until after Christmas this year. It was pretty mellow, but it seems like we're getting more snow now than we did in the heat of winter. But or the cold of winter, rather.
Yeah.
But I'm itching, and it's pretty much after those street sweepers come out.
once you see the flashing lights, then right,
Yeah.
fuel them up, we're off.
Everyone celebrates when those street sweepers come out, but it's just so fucking dangerous to ride before because of all the sand on the road.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I've hit the ground on loose ground. Or I've come off because I've tried to. I've missed the junction I'm pulling into, and like a retard, instead of going right, I'll go down the road and turn around. I'm like, oh no, I can make that bang. Yeah,
happens.
it hurts.
Yeah, sand
It,
sucks.
yeah, it hurts low side. It also hurts high side, and I've been on a racetrack and high sided, and that hurt. It's crazy. You're going through the air, and you're like, almost like you're floating. You get it's weird as hell. It's like you got time to look around, almost admire the scenery before you fucking face plant the floor. I mean, I ruined my crash helmet. Face literally almost like a human torpedo. Face planting the racetrack. Look up and the marshal's flying the green flag, and my bike's in the middle of the racing line. I'm like, what the fuck?
Am I alive?
Yeah, stumbling around. And then the best one I had at racing was I'd spent all day. I managed to stay on the bike all day because I'm one of them that's either on the floor or manages to stay on it. Like, and I've done 2 free practice sessions, done qualify session, and then my missus turns up to watch me, and I come round this, I come into this hairpin, and I literally completely outbrake myself, and then I'm going straight through these, the plastic barriers that they fill full of sand.
Yeah, or water.
Or water. Well, luckily this one had nothing in it because I was heading towards it in a straight line, gone flying over it, but whilst dragging it across the grass. Stand up, and all I see is my missus holding my son. Would have only been about 1 year old, and she just looks at me and goes, and I'm like, oh fuck! She's trying to start this bike while it's still in gear, fucking flapping around trying to get back on the track. It's yeah. But happened to fall off right in but honestly, all these people, and all I see is my missus like,
yeah, that is a legitimate reaction.
Yeah, because she's like, yeah, you're a dick.
Your 1-year-old kid. She's like, really?
yeah, right in front of the kids, and like, yeah, nice one. I mean, I've fallen off. I've fallen off in a car park, like right outside my house.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't. The only one I haven't fallen off actually is my ZX10 that I got. I've dropped it outside. Yeah, that hurt. That hurt my leg more than anything. That thing weighs about 300 kilos. It's fucking heavy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I think if I think we're just waffling on now for the sake of waffling on, really. No, I think it's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and chat about making sissy bars and that. And obviously, like you say, you're obviously killing it in what you're doing. I mean, you've got loads of people following what you're doing, and it's incredible.
Yeah, well, I really like it, and like I'm big on, like, if you hate your job, like, why are you doing it? Yeah. Go do something that you love and that you want to do. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really hard to go in the shop when it's minus 15 outside, but at least I don't have to, I can have that extra cup of coffee.
Yeah, that must be awesome. Just literally just open the door straight in.
Yeah, it is really nice. And that's kind of like, that was my goal from the beginning when I started welding. They asked you, what is your 5-year plan? And I said, my 5-year plan is to build motorcycle parts and not have a boss, like be my own boss. And so far, so good. Bills are paid. I'm not a millionaire yet, but like, we're a living. So I got my bike back.
In today's world, I mean, to be able to do what you enjoy and provide for your family. I mean, that's my goal with this. I mean, like, the podcast came about just because I felt that there was a little bit of a gap for people that had just creating, whether it be building bikes or creating parts. And I think that you got the people that are right at the top. I mean, like right at the top of the chain, the building panheads and knuckleheads and things like that, and everyone goes crazy for all of that, which obviously I understand why. But then why does the dude that's only riding a 125, why shouldn't they have the same spotlight, on them? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
absolutely.
that's kind of what triggered it for me with the whole podcast, was that I felt it was just, and the fact that I've never been to Canada or anywhere else, and it's, if I can sit here and people want to talk to me about like-minded stuff, and I just get hyped on the fact that you're sat on the other side of the world, and I'm getting to chat with you and learn about how you've got into into the craft that you're doing, and knowing that not only learning how you got into it, but knowing that you're able to support your family with it. It's fucking, why not? It's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I love it.
No, that's cool. That's cool. So I think we'll leave it there then, Rio. And obviously, people that want to get hold of you, want to get a Sissy Bar, what's the best way to contact you?
Oh, Instagram's probably where I'm most active. Ria.the.welder, or I've got a website, riathewelder.com, and email is always good too. riathewelder@gmail.com.
Awesome. And obviously, like you said earlier, you ship across the world. I mean, there's someone riding across Germany with a ball sack hanging off their Sissy Bar.
That's right. Yeah, I got them in Australia. Awesome. I got some in the UK too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, have you had any of your stuff featured in the magazines? Have you flicked through the magazine and fucking hell, I made that?
Yep, I have done a couple of magazines. Cycle Source magazine, Fast Times magazine. There's a couple of them out there. I'm totally open to doing more. So
awesome. Well, hopefully someone discovers you through my podcast. Not that you need any help getting discovered, because you're already fucking killing it anyway, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, it was great to meet you, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you.
And if you're ever in Canada, sounds like you and your wife might make it over here someday. If you're in BC, you better hit me up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whereabouts she's looking at me now. There she is. Middle finger again. I love the support. Yeah, honestly. Whereabouts?
Sounds like me and her would get along really well.
Barrie. Her family was in Barrie.
Barrier or Barrie?
Barrie.
I think that's in Ontario.
Ontario? Yeah, Ontario. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other side of the country. But I definitely recommend a visit to BC once in your life. Yeah,
well, obviously the fact that now I have 3 people that I kind of now get to talk to on social media. There's obviously you, Bob, and Corey. I think the idea is try and get over, but I mean, it's going to cost a fortune to get over, won't it?
It costs a fortune to get here, but you know what? We got lots of space.
That's awesome.
We love having visitors, and I'm sure that you and Joe would just be able to talk for hours.
Yeah, well, we can obviously help you learn how to say aluminium.
Aluminium.
That's it. Aluminium.
You know what's really funny? I have to tell you one thing. When we go to a drive-through and Joe orders a water, every single time that he orders a water, what did you say? What'd you say? What was that? And then he has to go, a water?
A water?
A water?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, so when I was living in Spain, for example, if you go through the drive-through, you go to McDonald's, for example, you used to ask for a Big Mac menu. So they don't say meal, they say menu. And we'd gone to Burger King, and my missus was pregnant with our son. So obviously, as you know, your emotions are sometimes unreasonable, and I've gone and asked for this Whopper meal, but I've said, can I have a Whopper menu? And she looks round at me and it's a meal.
You idiot. You idiot.
And I'm just like, but I've just spent the last 10 years of my life saying menu, well, you're not in Spain anymore.
Yeah, so, I like her already.
Oh, she's awesome. I mean, the fact that she puts up with me is a fucking, it's incredible on its own,
Well,
I'm hard work. I struggle to put up with myself. No,
Right on.
again, I will let you get on, and thank you very much. So anyone that wants to contact you, I'll put the details on the I'll put the links all below anyway, and yeah, and obviously you ship worldwide and everything, and yeah, awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, well, thanks for having me. It was great talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll talk to you
I'll
later.
catch you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.